walk me through, I mean, spring, fall camp, how's it been? How you feeling going into the season?
I'm feeling good, man. It's crazy to believe that it's already August. I feel like I just got here, and it's already, the 8th month of me being here. But it's been nothing but a blessing, nothing but fun, and nothing but grinding since I got here. The winter, I feel like went really well working with Coach Strop and Coach Duval. They have a great strength and conditioning program, and I feel like that went really well. And then going into the spring, had some ups and some downs, as expected coming in here and learning a new offense again. But I feel like that transition from spring and then summer went really well again, working with Strop and Duval and still just continuing to learn the offense and, trying to know it like the back of my hand. And I think going into fall camp, I feel like my growth of understanding the offense, understanding trying to get inside of the Frost's brain, inside of Coop's brain and Casey's brain, and what they're thinking on every single play. I think that's the biggest part where I've grown, and the understanding of each play of what, how could I make this play successful? Like I said, that's really my approach to every play is how can I make this play successful? And I think, from the spring to now, I can just feel my growth and understanding and knowledge of the offense, and the game speed started to slow down because of that.
How do you feel that your own personal strengths align with Coach Frost's scheme?
I would say, just the ability to create explosive plays, not only in the pocket but out of the pocket. Being able to be a threat to the defense, not only passing but running. And then I feel like those are really just the main things for sure.
Yeah, and you mentioned before we started recording, the transition FAU to UCF. I mean, how's that been? You haven't had to go far, Boca to Orlando, but how you fit into Orlando? How you liking it?
I love it. South Florida, it can be a really fast-paced area. Orlando is definitely I would say a more homey feel. It's not as fast. I honestly didn't think that. I thought being in South Florida that the traffic would be worse than being in Orlando, but I started to realize that Orlando's traffic is it gets pretty busy around here. But it's been great, having some familiar faces in the building, having made that transition a lot easier, and then just the city being very welcoming, and the teammates being really welcoming, and it's been a pretty easy transition, honestly.
Got to hear some of the defensive players talk about Jerkman being this chicken jerk spot that they all go to. You got a favorite food spot in Orlando that you like to go to?
I like to cook a lot, honestly. But I would say my favorite food spot, honestly, a spot that I go to a lot it's a breakfast spot. Metro Diner. I stay out in Oviedo, so it's like right around the corner from me, and it's a little mom and pop kind of diner. So I go in there a lot and get breakfast a lot in there because we get like little gift card to go eat at a little restaurant or whatever, and that was on there. So I stick to that one a lot because it's kind of right around the corner, convenient, and it's a really good spot.
Yeah, that's a good place. But I mean, what's your signature dish if you're cooking? Like, what are you gonna cook on a night?
I love making steaks. Steak is my favorite thing to eat, so I like to make a good steak.
How you like it cooked?
Medium rare.
Yeah, that's the best one.
For sure.
What's been? Oh, go ahead, Phil.
Obviously, a lot of attention on the quarterback battle. What's been, I guess, the temperature in the room? How you guys helped each other out? As you guys are fighting for one spot, obviously.
Yeah.
How have you guys helped each other out, especially as you kind of establish yourself?
It's definitely been a healthy competition. I would say all the guys in the room are just trying to push each other to be their best every day, and they are doing that because the entire room has a lot of talent, and I think we all are. Whenever we are having mistakes, we all are correcting each other. It's not like he makes a mistake. Oh, okay. No, we're all trying to push and make the room as best as it can be. So it's been a healthy competition, and I love being in that room.
How would you describe a Scott Frost offense?
I would describe it as a very multiple offense that can attack the defense in a lot of different ways, and I feel like that whether it's in the run game, the pass game, it can be really explosive.
How are you yourself approaching this quarterback battle, like mentally and physically?
I would just say my mindset every day is just be the best version of myself, and just being consistent in my approach, consistent on how in my routine really. I think that's big, is having a routine and understanding your body, understanding what you need to do to get yourself ready to go. And I feel like that's been my approach this whole time.
What makes you a good quarterback?
I would say not only can I sit in the pocket and deliver, but also I feel like I can create outside of the pocket. And also I feel like I'm the type of quarterback to just take what's there, take what the defense gives me. If they give me the check down, if they give me my first read, I'm gonna take the first read. If they give me the deep shot, I'm gonna try and take the deep shot. And if they give me the check down, like I said, I'll take the check down. And if I need to extend, I can extend.
What's been the toughest environment you played in college?
I think it would have to be at Notre Dame, at Marshall, when I was at Marshall. I wasn't completely starting yet then, but I definitely had a role in that game. But I would say that's definitely the toughest environment.
How excited are you to be in the bounce house on a game day?
I'm very excited. I've only heard good things, and how rowdy it gets in there, and how much energy is in the bounce house. They talking about when they're walking out of the locker room under the tunnel, and how it's almost like it's shaking, because of the stadium being aluminum and all those sorts of things. But I'm super pumped and super fired up to for the first game in the bounce house for sure.
Yeah, we were talking on Coach Frost's system, but how do you feel has been the biggest adjustment for you coming from the FAU system to now Frost?
I would say, for this being my second transfer, I would say the transition of being able to adapt to a new offense, almost has been easier, because I would say I almost kind of learned how to learn a new offense faster. Doing it the first time, it was kind of some learning curves on how I can learn more efficiently. And I feel like this being my second time around, transferring that, it's helped me understand how to be more efficient with my time, how to be more efficient in learning new playbook.
With so many new faces on the team, you being one of them, new coaching staff, does it feel like this program is kind of starting here from scratch, or starting from the base? How empowering is that to be someone who can help set the standard for this program?
No, I wouldn't say that it's starting from scratch. I feel like there's no tension at all in the locker room. With there being so many transfer guys, you would think that there might be some, but there isn't at all. And the team's chemistry and the team's camaraderie is really good in the locker room. I feel like from the winter and spring to now, that it's only grown and it's only going to get better as the year goes.
Talk on Coach Milton. What has he meant to you? What have you learned from him?
I mean, Coach KZ, you couldn't ask for a whole lot more out of a coach, on the field, off the field. He's a guy that you always can go to and, rely on to be there for you, regardless of what the situation is or what it is you're presenting to him. And you couldn't ask for more. Like I said, he's from a coaching aspect, like football-wise, he's been in this offense before, playing for Frost, and he knows what it takes to be great in this offense. So, you couldn't ask for more out of a coach, honestly.
Did you know about the 2017 team? Did you ever watch Milton?
Nah, for sure.
Yeah.
Nah, they were definitely rolling in that 2017 year for sure.
Yeah. Was that one of the selling points for you to come here?
I mean, seeing the success that he's had before and experience that Frost has had, was definitely something that was intriguing to me as well. Like I said, with Coach Cooper, what he's done at Boise State, and then what Coach Frost did after he left here, and just the KZ being in the room as well. Those were all intriguing things.